Welcome back. It's been a while since you've seen this twin turbo Continental on the channel. That's because we've been hammering down on that 1957 GMC stepside build. Well, this week it is back with a big update. The last time you guys saw it on the channel, we got all that fab work done for our twin turbo system, getting all that Stainless Brothers material welded up and hooked up to our Turbosmart mirror image turbos. This week we'll be tackling the entire coolant system on this twin turbo build. But over the course of the last month, we've done a ton of metal fabrication, like tucking up our front and rear bumpers, deleting some moldings, and making some custom rockers for this thing. We're gonna give you guys a no-talk recap on all that work I just discussed. But if you're only here to see us build this insane coolant system, you guys can skip ahead to this timestamp right here. Now let's get rocking. right, well now that you guys are all cut up with all that metal fab, it's time to start working on that coolant system. And the first step, let's get some of these parts unboxed. All right, so here we got our aluminum radiator. This has got a transmission cooler already attached to it. And it's got some nice brackets here for our Restomod AC condenser. And look at that, man. Almost perfecto. So I'm gonna have to build a couple little tabs or cut this little bracket here. So that way our lines could come off of this with no obstructions. And then we'll have to build some kind of bracketry off of this here. That way we can mount it onto our cross member down there. And probably come off of that with a tab and just bolt it right on. Probably put some isolators on it so it kind of has a little bit of wiggle room. Just gonna go ahead and mark our tabs here, our little bracket here where we gotta cut it. And we'll go ahead and get some rib nuts inserted onto this bracket. All right, so after getting the condenser mounted on our radiator and putting it in position, I wasn't really happy with everything. We're kind of limited with our spacing in the front, even though this is a big open gap right here. Our springs for our hoods were kind of tight to our condenser. So after a little thought, this radiator did come with a transmission cooler right there on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is slide my condenser all the way down, taking this transmission cooler off. The transmission that we did buy from Bowler does come with a transmission cooler that already has fans on it. So we're probably gonna go ahead and mount this little guy somewhere down below, flat on in between the two frame rails in the front. So that'll give me a little bit more space up top where our springs come through right about here. So we'll slide our condenser down, get rid of this, we'll get our fans put on, then we'll go ahead and put our radiator back in here and start thinking about mounting brackets. All right, we got our 1/4-inch aluminum brackets welded onto our core of our radiator. Not the prettiest welds in the world, but it will hold and it will stay. That's all that really matters. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this set back into the car, and we'll figure out the brackets we're gonna be making off of our 1 5/8 cross member. I have a couple little isolators that we're gonna use in between this bracket and the other bracket, just to give it a little vibration cancellation, if you will. We got our 2 brackets welded onto our round cut tube steel here on both sides, tacked in for now. Once we're done and we get this thing in the air, we'll go ahead and final weld it. But that should be good to hold our radiator up. So we got our little isolators here. So we'll go ahead and throw the radiator back down, bolt it on, and see how we do. All right, now that we got our radiator mounted in place, it's time to get our transmission cooler mounted up here. So we're gonna lay it flat in between our frame rails in this open section here. And then we're gonna be mounting our heat exchanger in this open area here, right in front of our condenser. All right, that wraps up our transmission cooler. The next step, like I said, is we're going to be mounting our heat exchanger right up in this little section right there. We just got in our heat exchanger from Boost District. This is a direct fit for a G8 Chevy car, but obviously it's not a direct fit for what we got going on. So we're gonna be welding on some tabs onto our radiator. That way our lines kind of pass out through the right side and our AC lines are gonna go out through the left side. So should give us plenty of room to get everything done. All right, so this is what we got going on here. I got a little piece of 1-inch foam separating my heat exchanger from my condenser. I got these aluminum brackets made up. So they're gonna go just like so, welded to the core of the radiator, giving it plenty of room and space if we ever have to get the condenser out. So we got one for that side, and then we got one for this side. Boom, boom. All right, there you have it. Heat exchanger is installed. Radiator's mounted nice and solid. Brady's walking around with a cart. That thing's loud, thanks to Home Depot. Anyways, radiator's in, heat exchanger's in, condenser's in, transmission cooler is in. So next step is going to be mounting our pump. Basically want our pump to kind of sit in this area right here. And I think what I'm gonna do is use this stand that Timmy made to hold up our turbo, kind of come off that with another piece of that 3/4 inch steel round tubing, and weld it straight onto our bracket. And then I already cut a little plate for the back of our pump here. So our pump would just kind of be suspended in the air off of our turbo bracket here. Got our pump mounted, our bracket is done. We got our little gusset here, so that's nice and strong. And this thing does kind of pivot in here too, so once I get my orientate, this thing's actually gonna sit more like so. So we're gonna be coming from our heat exchanger on our top port here, hard 90, form 90 on the rubber side, the rubber hose, and going into the top, and it's gonna come out here, and it's gonna shoot on back towards our firewall, and we're gonna route it right here to our front port here. We're still waiting on some fittings, and we got Arton coming in this weekend to build our tank. So for now, that's probably gonna be a wrap. I might start playing with some of my hosing and just start routing it and seeing how I'm gonna be mounting it up one side of our fender here. So That's next.
Have been building a water to air coolant tank over here for the turbocharger setup. So this is the tank right here. It's recessed into the firewall. I just tack welded these brackets on over here, and I'm going to go ahead and finish weld that, as well as add the return and as well as the feed line for the lines that are going into it, and also the filler.
Got our lower wastegate feed line from our vacuum manifold. So this is gonna end up going directly into here on our manifold. Now I just have to finish the upper portion of the wastegate and then also my oil feed line. A lot more work to do. Let's finish it off. All right, blow-off valve plumbing is complete. You can see our NPT to dash 4T plumbed into the front of the manifold. And then I have one side coming to this bank and the other one going to this bank. So you can see there, nice and clean. So majority of all the plumbing for turbocharger system, all the vacuum lines, almost done.
Had to cut off the original flange and weld on the HD flange back there. Got that done on both sides. I was hoping to take it to a buddy shop and use the lathe, but had to kick it old school and use a grinder. Use what we got. So got that done, but overall came out really well. And working on making the intake side of things now.
Arden has all of our titanium pie cuts tacked together with our heavy duty HD vibrant clamps. We got our titanium clamp here, the ferrules, and then we have our aluminum side over here. So we're going to be building an aluminum box to house our K&N air filter. I've already kind of went ahead and started working on a template or a pattern. So our filter is going to kind of sit in just like this. We have a little angle 45 degree going back and back to keep away from our titanium intake side on our intake manifold, and to stay away from our fans, which are down there. So I think this is going to be our pattern. So I'm going to make our box, and then we're going to figure out how we're going to get our 45 off of our HD clamp and to match up on our box on both sides. And I may kind of slant our box, our filter box, up a tad bit, since all this our intake manifold is all above our hood line, which is this string here. As you see, it's way over. So I may make the box kind of slanted up like that, and then we'll have some kind of holes or vent or something in our cowl that we're going to be building on our hood to suck all that fresh air in. So I got an overall kind of general idea on our box here. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this stuff onto CAD on our plasma table, get some stuff cut out, and we'll tack this together and then keep moving. All right, we got our 2 pieces of aluminum pipe cut and ground down a little bit. I think they fit pretty good, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove my aluminum flange off my HD clamp on both sides. We'll get that tacked to the flange. We'll bring it back over. Possibly either just get this thing set where I want it, trace it, or possibly go ahead and tack it onto the box, bring that whole assembly back over to the welding table, get a nice line traced around it, and we'll cut out the hole, get that welded all on. So I think that's going to work out pretty nice. The last thing we got to do to finish up our intake on the Continental is final weld all these titanium pie cuts, and then we're going to be turning our attention into building some finish panels in the engine compartment, making this thing look even more pretty than it does. Then we're also going to be jumping into the interior because we have a ton of work to do to our dash and building a center console. So if you guys aren't caught up on our 1957 GMC build, make sure you go back, check out some of those previous episodes, because as you see, we have it sitting in the shop right now in primer, just about ready for paint. So yeah, hey, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.